So what is going on in the Seattle and Bellevue housing market? Here's your August 2022 market update. Just like I do every month, I'm going to keep this very high level. We do have a few numbers to look at, but for the most part, I'm just here to share what it is that I'm seeing in the market day in and day out. If you want specifics or data about your neighborhood or your city or any questions whatsoever, reach out anytime and I'm happy to provide that. So for the most part, inflation, interest rates, supply and demand have all been big topics, have affected our housing market, right? The good news is inflation numbers just came out yesterday at 8.5%, which is slightly lower than the previous 9.1%. So even though slowly, it seems like the Fed's efforts to slow the economy down are working out. A good analogy I heard though, that even though we're off the peak, imagine if you're flying on the airplane and the pilot says we are starting our initial descent, which means that we're trending down, but it's going to be a while before the plane is on the ground. And as it pertains to interest rates or inflation, I think the Fed is going to continue to increase those in the coming months and in the fall to continue to slow things down. But I do suspect those increases will be a bit smaller than what we have recently seen. Where we sit today, the 30-year conventional interest rate is about 5 to 5.5%, which is again a little lower than the 6% we've had, and it seems to be slowly stabilizing. And the buyers are starting to accept that maybe this is the new normal, and a lot of sellers I'm seeing are starting to understand that okay, the buyers' buying power has been diminished, and it is being reflected in the sales price. So now bringing it back to overall housing market here in the Seattle Bellevue area, in King County specifically, we're seeing more listings come on the market and fewer homes go under contract. As compared to last July, so 12 months ago, we have 75% more active listings and our pending sales are lower by 30%. So that inventory number is climbing and the buyers do have more options. Another thing that I've been tracking week over week, specifically in King County as an exercise, is what is happening with price reductions. And I found it pretty interesting that for the last 3 weeks, we've had as many price reductions in King County as we had new listings. So that's a good indication that I think a lot of sellers in the previous weeks have been too ambitious when it comes to price. They price it too high, hoping to get that number they might have seen a few months ago. They don't get that number, and as a result, they're starting to reduce the prices. So it's pretty, when the number of price reductions outpaces the number of new listings, it really causes even more so inventory to climb up and for the same buyers to have more options over the long run. And as it pertains to inventory, what I'm finding for the most part is that we don't have enough of great inventory. So the good homes that show very well, that are in great neighborhoods and that are unique, they still get snagged up the first weekend many times with multiple offers. However, the sellers who just think they can put a sign up front and throw up their average house and still expect a good price, those are sitting. So overall, we have an inventory shortage if you look at supply versus demand, but we don't have great inventory that buyers want. Seems like we have plenty of bad inventory that's piling up. If you're a seller in today's market, here are some things to consider. One, you should expect that your home may sit on the market for a little bit longer. But don't panic if it's on the market for 2, 3, 4 weeks. That's still a normal timeline, right? What we've seen in the recent history is homes selling at an auction in a matter of 2 days. We shouldn't expect that to last forever, and it no longer is the case. 2, you want to make sure you get your home show ready. I feel like I mentioned this in every single video that I do. It's because now it's more important than ever. When there was no homes available, you could get away with throwing out whatever you have and buyers will still compete for it. Today, you have more competition with other listings, so you want to make sure you stand out from other homes that are available that are competing for that same buyer. So don't cheap out on, again, surface level things. Paint, carpet, landscaping, all of those investments will go a long way and allow you to sell faster and for more money. And third, pricing is more important than ever. We just talked about how many price reductions we have seen. So the days of pricing your home 10% above recent comps are long gone. If you do that, you're just setting yourself up for a price drop and another price drop and to attract lowball offers. Be sure you're smart, take a look at the real data, sit down and dig deep with your realtor and understand what is going on and price appropriately because those homes are still selling quickly. And if you're a buyer I do think it's a great time for you guys because you do have more options. Yes, the rate have ticked up and your buying power is reduced a little bit, but also for the first time in forever, you're able to get some deals and you can negotiate concessions and actually have different contingencies and inspections and things like that to protect you when you're buying. And you can make sure you really understand what you're getting yourself into versus just bidding and trying to beat out all other offers. So if you find the right house that fits your needs, that's the same, it's a great neighborhood, the interest rates at around 5%, 5.5%, it's still a great interest rate historically. So make sure you're prepared to move quickly, make sure you're pre-approved and you're ready when you find the right house. Another thing that I'm seeing time after time is that some buyers are getting very ambitious now, and if they see a home sit on the market for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, all of a sudden they start throwing out lowball offers. And I guess if you don't care about the house all that much, and if you're okay to not get it, that might be worth a shot and maybe you'll get it for a great price. But time after time, usually what I've seen happens is, let's say a house is listed for $1.5 million and has been on the market for 3 weeks, and then a buyer wants to offer 1.25 to see if they get lucky. And what happens is when that offer is written and the seller accepts it, it gives an opportunity to the listing agent to call all other buyers who've maybe been on the fence and all of a sudden their interest in that home may be reignited. And then I've seen time after time when someone else just comes in, knowing there's a lowball offer, offering them asking price and getting the deal done immediately. And maybe you would have been willing to buy the house for that 1.5 to begin with. So if it's a great home, I think you want to be smart. You want to make sure you're not overpaying, but don't really get caught up on trying to find a slamming deal on a home that you really want, because there's a good likelihood you might lose it by throwing in a lowball offer and just pissing the seller off to begin with. So I do think that as we wrap up August here and we head into the fall and September, I do think that market activity is going to pick up a bit. Just the seasonality of real estate always appears to be the case. And it seems like there's a bit of a herd mentality with buyers in general. For the longest time, all buyers that we worked with were hoping that they're praying for two things, right? They wanted the home price appreciation to slow down and they wanted more inventory to look at. And we got that, yet now everyone's sitting on the fence. Last weekend I had an open house in Bellevue and all the buyers that came through, they just seemed to not have any sense of urgency, even if they really like the house. They kept telling me over and over that they're gonna wait for the prices to bottom out or that they're gonna keep looking and maybe there's gonna be another house that comes on. And just no one's buying, so everyone's kind of on the fence. And I feel like once we head into September, once everyone accepts that, okay, the rates are the new norm, and when buyers start jumping into the buying pool after their vacations and everything else, my prediction is that a lot of buyers are going to come back at the same time following the herd. And we're going to get into another little situation to where the great homes that you could be able to get under contract today, you'll probably be competing for. So my prediction is things are going to continue to move along. I think that as we head into the second part of the year and then to spring next year, the market is going to continue to get a little more competitive than it is today. So in conclusion, if you find the right house, I think today is still a great time to buy. And if you're selling your home, I do think that if you take the proper measures up front, you could still sell your home for a great price and move on. And that's a wrap for the August update. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to me anytime, and I'll catch you next month.